Have you ever wondered why the harder you try to control life, the further it slips from your grasp? It's almost as if existence itself plays a hidden game, one that punishes desperation but rewards surrender. Imagine this: a man walking along the shore at night, clutching a handful of sand. The more tightly he grips it, the faster it pours through the cracks between his fingers. With every attempt to hold on, he loses more. Finally, exhausted, he opens his palm, and the grains settle gently, as if they had been waiting all along for him to simply let go. Isn't that what so many of us do every single day? We grip our lives with fear and tension. We worry about the job interview, the relationship, the future we can't quite see. We walk into crowded rooms, convinced that every eye is judging us, that every word we speak carries the weight of destiny. Our minds whisper, "Don't mess this up, don't lose control, don't let go." And yet, the secret most people never realize is that control is an illusion. The world does not bend to clenched fists, it bends to open hands. The moment you loosen your grip, conversations flow, opportunities appear, and a strange sense of alignment begins to unfold. It feels almost supernatural, as if the universe itself had been waiting for you to stop fighting and start trusting. But why does this paradox exist? Why is it that the moment you release your desperate hold, the things you longed for suddenly begin to find their way back to you? There is a deeper truth hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. A truth that explains why so many carry invisible chains of stress and fear without ever seeing the lock that binds them. That hidden lock, and the mysterious key that opens it, is where our journey begins. Have you ever felt as though life was whispering to you in a language you couldn't quite understand? You go about your day, answering emails, cooking dinner, driving through familiar streets, and suddenly something interrupts the rhythm. A number appears on a receipt, the exact same digits you've been noticing everywhere. 11:11 on the clock, 3:33 flashing on a license plate. It rattles you for a moment. Why do I keep seeing this? You wonder. You shake it off, but later that night, there it is again, an undeniable repetition that feels less like coincidence and more like a message. This is where most people live, in the tension between believing it's random and secretly knowing it's not. Because deep inside, you felt it too. That tug in your chest when a dream repeats itself 3 nights in a row, carrying the same strange symbol, a door you can't open, a figure watching from the distance, a voice calling your name but never revealing its face. You wake up unsettled, almost as if the dream has followed you into waking life, wrapping around you like invisible smoke. And then there are those moments when your body itself seems to speak. A sudden chill down your spine for no reason. A tightness in your chest before walking into a room, only to discover later that the conversation waiting there would change everything. The way your skin prickles when someone mentions a name or an event, even though they insist it's trivial. You know better. Your spirit has already recognized the weight before your mind has time to process it. Most people dismiss these signs as nerves, stress, or imagination. But what if they're not? What if the universe has always had a hidden alphabet, one written not in letters, but in patterns? Numbers, dreams, sensations, coincidences, all fragments of a deeper code trying to break through the noise of daily life. Think about the times you ignored it. You had a bad feeling about a decision, but convinced yourself you were just being dramatic until the situation unfolded exactly the way your intuition warned. Or the opposite. You felt an unexplainable pull toward a place, a person, or an idea, and only later realized how that choice rerouted the entire course of your life. Isn't it strange how, when you look back, the signs were always there? Like breadcrumbs scattered along your path, guiding you to or away from something, but only visible once the moment has passed. This is the pain of living half awake, carrying the weight of confusion, sensing that life is speaking to you, but not knowing how to translate its messages. It's no wonder people feel restless, anxious, even haunted. They go to bed replaying the same numbers in their mind. They wake up remembering a dream that feels more real than reality. They walk through crowds feeling out of place, convinced that something invisible is tugging at their soul. The world tells them it's coincidence, chance, or worse, that they're imagining it, but a part of them refuses to believe that. Because deep down, they know. They know that not every shiver is random. Not every repeated number is meaningless. Not every dream is just a trick of the mind. These moments arrive like coded messages from a realm we cannot see with our eyes, but can feel with every fiber of our being. They are the universe's way of tapping on your shoulder, saying, "Look closer, listen, something is unfolding." And yet, the more we try to explain these moments logically, the more they seem to defy explanation. Science calls them coincidences, psychology calls them projections, but the soul calls them by another name: signs. The invisible threads connecting us to something larger than ourselves. So here we are, caught between doubt and belief, between brushing it all aside and daring to think that maybe, just maybe, we are being guided. And if that is true, then one question becomes impossible to ignore. What if these signs are not just passing curiosities, but the very map to your destiny? There is a reason you keep seeing numbers, dreams, and repeating patterns. They are not random sparks in the brain or the leftover noise of coincidence. They are coded messages, and among all of them, there is one sign that carries a weight so profound that ancient mystics, prophets, and spiritual teachers have written about it for centuries: the repetition of sacred numbers. Think about it. Why do so many people across different cultures and ages report seeing 1111, 333, or 777? Why do these numbers seem to appear not once or twice, but in such persistent waves that ignoring them feels impossible? Because numbers are not only mathematical, they are symbolic keys, ancient archetypes hidden in plain sight. In the Bible, numbers were never meaningless. 7 symbolized completion, the seventh day when God rested, the 7 seals of Revelation. 40 was the number of testing and transformation. 40 days of flood, 40 years in the desert, 40 days of fasting in the wilderness. Even 12, the number of tribes of Israel, the number of apostles. Each carried hidden meaning, a divine fingerprint reminding humanity that life is not chaos, but coded order. When you see repeating numbers in your daily life, you are witnessing what the ancients called synchronicity, the moment when the visible world and the invisible realm overlap, speaking to you in the only way that can bypass your logic and pierce directly into your soul. It is not chance that you look at the clock exactly at 11:11 when you are in the middle of doubt. It is not chance that your receipt totals 777 when you are secretly praying for confirmation. These are not accidents. They are invitations. But here is the hidden truth. Sacred numbers do not appear to entertain you. They appear to awaken you. The reason they feel magnetic is because they are designed to stop you in your tracks, to make you question reality for a split second. And in that pause, the universe whispers, "Pay attention. You are not alone. You are guided." Mystics in ancient Egypt, sages in Babylon, even early Christian mystics understood this. They believed numbers were part of the divine language, a bridge between heaven and earth. To them, numbers were alive, not just symbols, but forces vibrating with spiritual meaning. That's why Pythagoras, the father of mathematics, said that numbers rule the universe. He wasn't only speaking of geometry. He was pointing to a truth hidden behind the veil, that the entire cosmos is structured in patterns, and when those patterns echo in your life, it means you are in alignment with something far greater than yourself. Now, imagine this. You are overwhelmed, uncertain, your heart heavy with decisions. Suddenly, you notice the number 333 appearing again and again. At first, you dismiss it, but then it shows up on your phone battery, on a street sign, even in the number of unread emails you forgot you had. What does it mean? In ancient mystical thought, 3 is the number of divine union. The triangle, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the balance of mind, body, and spirit. When it repeats, it amplifies. It is as if the heavens themselves are saying, you are not walking alone. You are surrounded by presence, by angels, by unseen guidance. Or think of 777. To most people, it looks like luck. To the spiritually awake, it is confirmation. 7 is divine completion, and 3 sevens in a row signify that the cycle you are in is not random. It is divinely orchestrated. It's the universe pulling back the curtain and whispering, keep going. What you seek is about to align. Do you see the pattern now? These numbers are not tricks. They are spiritual markers. Like torches on a dark path, they appear when you are in need of direction. And every time you notice them, every time they catch your breath and make you pause, you step into that sacred pause where clarity can finally reach you. But here's the part most people don't know. Ignoring these signs has consequences. Not because the universe punishes you, but because when you refuse to see, you choose blindness. You walk past the open door without stepping through it. You dismiss the divine whisper and wonder why life feels heavy. These signs are not casual. They are answers to the questions your soul has been screaming silently. So the next time you see 1111, don't just smile and move on. Stop. Ask yourself, what was I thinking in this exact moment? What was I feeling? That is the universe's way of drawing a circle around your thoughts, saying, this matters, this is aligned, take notice. And maybe that is why you are here right now, listening to these words. Because deep inside, you already knew. You already felt that the patterns in your life carried a meaning hidden beneath their surface. You just needed someone to confirm what your soul has been whispering all along. This is the first secret. Numbers are not random. They are the fingerprints of the divine, placed on the pages of your everyday life. They are proof that reality is not chaotic, but designed, intentional, pulsing with a rhythm older than time itself. And if you're beginning to feel the weight of this truth, if you're starting to remember that you too are part of this cosmic design, then you already know why you were guided here. Before we continue deeper into this journey, take a moment to join this circle of seekers. Tap the like button, subscribe, and step into this community, not just as a viewer, but as someone who understands that hidden knowledge was never meant to be walked alone. This is not entertainment, this is alignment. And together, we are uncovering what was once forbidden to see. Because if this is the first secret, you cannot even begin to imagine the next. Her name was Rachel. To most people, she looked like anyone else. Early 40s, a teacher in a small town, someone you'd pass at the grocery store without noticing. But inside, Rachel carried a storm. Her marriage had ended, her finances were unstable, and her nights were haunted by the heavy silence of unanswered prayers. She often told herself she was strong enough to keep pushing, but each morning the weight grew heavier, and each evening she sank deeper into hopelessness. It began subtly. The first time, she noticed the number 444 glowing on her alarm clock when she woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. She brushed it off as coincidence, but then it happened again the following week. She would wake without reason at 4:44 a.m., her heart pounding as though some invisible hand had shaken her awake. By the third week, she couldn't ignore it. Something about those numbers carried a gravity she couldn't explain. And then came the dreams. She dreamt of walking through a dimly lit hallway, doors stretching endlessly on both sides. Every door was locked, except one at the very end. She would run toward it, her heart desperate, but just as she reached for the handle, she'd wake, always at 4:44. Days became weeks. and Rachel felt torn between disbelief and an aching sense that something beyond her comprehension was trying to reach her. She searched online, stumbling upon fragments of interpretations. Some said 444 was the number of angels, a sign of protection and presence. Others said it was a call to trust that she wasn't walking alone. Her chest tightened as she read. Could it be possible that heaven itself was knocking on her door? One night, after a particularly difficult day at work, she whispered into the darkness of her bedroom, "If this is real, if you're really speaking to me, give me a sign I can't ignore." She cried herself to sleep. At dawn, sunlight spilled across her bed, and she woke to the sound of her phone buzzing. A friend she hadn't spoken to in years had texted her. "I just felt like I had to reach out. You're not alone. You are protected." Rachel's breath caught in her throat. She glanced at the screen, and her eyes widened. Her phone battery read 44%. That was the moment the dam inside her broke. She wept, not with despair, but with a strange, overwhelming peace. For the first time in months, she felt seen. She felt held. The signs weren't random. They were breadcrumbs from the divine, guiding her through the wilderness of her pain. From that day forward, everything shifted. Not overnight, her challenges didn't vanish, but Rachel stopped living as if she were abandoned. Each time she saw 444, she whispered a quiet, "Thank you," as though angels were walking beside her. When she faced difficulties, she remembered the dream of the hallway and the single open door at the end. It became her anchor. There was always a way forward, even if she couldn't see it yet. Weeks later, an opportunity came seemingly out of nowhere. A colleague recommended her for a new teaching position, stable pay, a healthier environment, and colleagues who felt like family. She almost didn't apply, fearing rejection, but something inside whispered, "The door is open. Walk through it." She did. She got the job. And when the official offer letter arrived, the timestamp on the email was 4:44 p.m. Rachel kept that email as sacred proof that she had been guided all along. Today, she tells her story not to claim she figured it all out, but to remind others of what she learned. Signs are real, and when you pay attention, they can transform your life. Her journey is not unique. Every day, people like Rachel wake to numbers, dreams, or inexplicable feelings that tug at their soul. Maybe you felt it too, the repeated dream, the clock that seems to freeze on the same numbers, the moment when your heart knows something your mind can't explain. And that's why I want to ask you something deeply personal. Have you ever experienced a sign like this? Numbers, dreams, a sensation that wouldn't leave you alone? If you have, I invite you to share it in the comments. Tell your story, no matter how small it seems. Because when you speak it, you confirm it, not only to yourself, but to others walking this same mysterious path. I read these stories, I carry them, and sometimes I even share them in future videos, because your voice may be the one that gives someone else the courage to trust the sign in front of them. And perhaps the most haunting question remains, if numbers and dreams can redirect a single life so powerfully, what happens when the signs grow stronger, pointing not just to comfort, but to destiny itself? If numbers are the first secret, the universal code carved into the fabric of reality, then dreams are the second. For thousands of years, humanity has turned to dreams not as meaningless theater of the mind, but as divine messages wrapped in mystery. Ancient civilizations built temples where dreamers would sleep, seeking visions from the gods. Prophets recorded their dreams as warnings and revelations. And even today, people wake with the lingering sense that what they saw behind closed eyes was more real than the world they opened their eyes to. Dreams are not random. They are the language of the soul, spoken in symbols, emotions, and patterns that bypass logic. When your conscious mind rests, the deeper part of you, the eternal part, speaks. And if you pay attention, the dream world becomes a sacred classroom. Take, for example, the story of Joseph in the Bible. He was not a king or a prophet at first. He was a prisoner, forgotten and dismissed. But his ability to interpret dreams elevated him to power, guiding nations through famine. Why? Because dreams hold guidance not just for individuals, but sometimes for the entire collective. They are the whispers of heaven, disguised in images of the night. But here is the secret most people don't realize. Dreams don't need to be spectacular to carry meaning. A recurring hallway, a locked door, a storm that always approaches but never arrives. These are not random backdrops. They are symbols chosen for you, tailored to the language of your heart. The reason they repeat is simple. You haven't yet listened. So how do you listen? How do you move from waking up confused to receiving the gift hidden inside your dream? There is a simple practice, one that has been passed down quietly through generations, the ritual of remembering. Here is how you can begin tonight. Before sleep, set an intention. Whisper a question in your mind, something your soul longs to understand. What do I need to know? What path should I take? This is like knocking on the door of the unseen world. Keep a notebook by your bed. The moment you wake, even if it's at 2 a.m., write down everything you recall. Don't edit, don't analyze, just capture it. Dreams evaporate quickly, like mist in the sun. Writing anchors them to earth. Look for patterns, not details. Dreams rarely speak in straight lines. Instead, they repeat symbols: water, fire, strangers, animals, numbers. Over time, these symbols weave a map. When you notice repetition, that is your signal. The message is urgent. Ask what the feeling meant. The mind wants to decode the images, but the soul speaks through emotion. Were you afraid, calm, exhilarated, lost? The feeling is the true compass. A dream of falling may not be about danger, but about the fear of losing control. A dream of endless doors may not be about architecture, but about the anxiety of choices left unmade. Seal it with gratitude. Even if you don't yet understand, whisper, "Thank you." Gratitude is the magnet that draws more clarity. When the unseen knows you are listening, it speaks louder. This practice may feel simple, but it is powerful. Night after night, as you record and reflect, a pattern will emerge. You'll notice that your dreams are not random fragments. They are chapters of a larger story being told to you. And when you begin to listen, you'll find that choices in waking life feel clearer, lighter, guided. Imagine this. You are torn about a decision, a move, a relationship, a career change. You begin this practice, and within a week you dream 3 times of crossing a river. Each time you feel fear at first, but then relief as you reach the other side. That is not chance. That is guidance. Cross the waters, step into the unknown. You will be safe on the other side. The truth is, anyone can do this. You don't need to be a prophet or mystic to hear your dreams. You only need to be willing to listen. Because the second secret is this: your soul never stops speaking. It is you who must learn to remember. And yet, as powerful as dreams are, they are not the deepest layer. There is another sign, one so subtle and mysterious that few dare to acknowledge it. It doesn't appear on clocks, and it doesn't always come at night. It moves like a shadow through your daily life, hiding in moments you least expect. A sign that, once revealed, changes not only how you see the world, but how the world begins to move around you. There is a sign that surpasses numbers and dreams, a sign so subtle that many overlook it, yet so powerful that once you recognize it, it transforms everything. The alignment of your inner state with the external world. It begins with a whisper inside you, a sudden peace before a choice, a quiet knowing that cannot be explained. Then, astonishingly, the world outside starts to mirror that inner shift. Doors open without knocking. Encounters happen that feel scripted by an invisible hand. Words you needed to hear arrive from the mouth of a stranger. This is not coincidence. This is synchronicity at its highest form. Carl Jung once said that synchronicity is the acausal connecting principle, moments where inner and outer reality meet in a mysterious dance, defying logic but resonating with truth. Ancient mystics said the same thing in different words, as above, so below, as within, so without. The deepest sign is not only out there nor only within, it is the bridge, the sacred mirror. Think about it. Haven't you had a moment where you carried a silent question in your heart and suddenly the answer appeared, in a song lyric, in a passing billboard, in the verse of scripture you opened by chance? That is the universe bending toward you, God leaning close, creation echoing the state of your soul. And here is the breathtaking revelation. This sign tells you that you are not separate from the divine, you are woven into it. The patterns you see outside are reflections of the energy you carry within. When you shift, the world shifts. When you open, the universe unfolds. Let us go deeper. The Gospel of Luke says, "The kingdom of God is within you." Not somewhere far away, not hidden in the stars, but within your very being. Modern physics echoes this mystery. Reality itself is not fixed, but responds to observation, collapsing possibilities into form. The sages knew it long before science could prove it. Consciousness is the key that turns the lock of creation. This is why the deepest sign is so life-changing, because once you see the mirror, you realize that you are both student and author of your destiny. The universe does not speak only through clocks and dreams, it speaks through you. And if these words stir something inside you, if you feel that strange warmth in your chest, that pull you can't explain, that is the sign happening now. You were meant to hear this. That's why I need to pause here and say something from the heart. This channel, this work, is created out of passion, not profit. Every video, every word is a labor of love for those who feel the same hunger for truth. If you feel part of this journey, I invite you to strengthen this circle, subscribe, like this video, and help grow this community. Your presence is not just a number, it is a light added to the constellation of seekers walking together. Because the deepest sign thrives in community. When hearts awaken together, reality itself begins to shift. One flame becomes a fire, one voice becomes a chorus. And here, in this space, we gather not as strangers, but as fragments of the same great whole, remembering who we are. So what is the deepest sign? It is the undeniable convergence of inner and outer worlds. It is when your private prayer echoes back as public confirmation. It is when silence inside you births music in the outside world. It is the moment you realize that you are not chasing signs. They are chasing you, because you are finally aligned. But alignment carries a responsibility. To see the mirror is to be called to live differently. You can no longer say life is random. You can no longer pretend you are powerless. Once you know the universe reflects you, every thought, every choice, every hidden belief becomes sacred. And that knowledge is both liberating and terrifying. Because if the universe mirrors you, what happens when you face the shadows you've been avoiding? What if everything you've experienced, the numbers on the clock, the dreams that haunt your nights, the whispers of synchronicity, were not accidents but invitations? What if every sign you've seen has been preparing you for this very realization? That life is not random, that you are not wandering alone, and that the universe has been speaking to you all along, waiting for you to listen. The truth is these signs are not just curiosities to entertain your mind. They are calls to awaken. They remind you that beneath the routines, the struggles, the anxieties, there is something greater unfolding. A hidden current runs beneath your life, carrying you toward meaning, toward alignment, toward the purpose you were born to embody. Think of how many times you have doubted yourself, how often you have felt invisible, unheard, forgotten. And yet, in those moments, the signs arrived. Numbers repeating when you needed reassurance. Dreams lighting a path through the fog, a coincidence so perfect it made you stop in your tracks. These were not random events. They were love letters from the divine, proof that your existence matters more than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. And here is the hope I want you to carry with you. Every single person watching this is already part of something bigger. You are threads in a vast tapestry, each one glowing with light. And together you form a pattern that cannot be seen from where you stand, but is radiant when viewed from above. The signs in your life are not isolated. They are part of that larger design, proof that your journey is sacred even in its confusion. The reason you are here listening now is not chance. Something inside you was searching, aching for confirmation, and life responded. That is the miracle, the alignment of desire with revelation. The very fact that you pressed play is itself a sign that you were meant to receive these words. And so, the question becomes, what will you do with this awakening? Will you go back to dismissing the whispers, or will you begin to walk with open eyes, open heart, and open hands? Because awakening is not an end, it is a beginning. Once you start seeing, you cannot unsee. Once you start listening, silence becomes impossible. And once you accept that the universe reflects your soul, your choices take on a holy weight. You realize you are co-creating your destiny, step by step, thought by thought, breath by breath. That is the mission now. Not to chase signs, but to live as one. To become the alignment you have been searching for, to carry peace into chaos, faith into fear, light into shadow. When you do this, the world around you begins to transform because you are no longer waiting for miracles. You are becoming one. And now, I want to invite you into something deeper, not just as someone who watched a video, but as part of a living community of seekers, dreamers, and awakened souls. If this message touched you, if it stirred something inside you, take a moment to strengthen this circle. Leave a comment with your name and the city you are watching from. In the next video, I will send a blessing and a special greeting to some of you, because you deserve to be seen, to be celebrated, to be honored as part of this journey. And while you're here, don't forget to like this video. It helps this message reach more hearts who are silently searching. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and step fully into this community. This is not about numbers, it's about souls joining together, about building a sanctuary of light in a world that so often feels heavy. Your presence here is a gift, and your support is the fuel that keeps this work alive. So let me leave you with this thought. The signs you've witnessed are only the beginning. The universe has far greater mysteries to unveil, truths that will shake and heal and transform. You have felt the whispers. What happens when the voice becomes impossible to ignore? The answer waits just beyond the horizon.